During our stay at Kansas State University, I was taught about the relationship between leadership and followership. And so I came back to Kenya with a different mindset, and I felt that I too could become a leader.
I think the most significant change that as a result of my participation in the STG grant was to finalize the last component of my project, which was finding out a metering solution for that project. We were able to reduce that cost component to $15, which ensures that we're able to complete that project successfully, but it was also cost effective for the community.
I have the sense that any issue that happened to my community or my country, I have to take a step because I am the right person to do, not because I have more knowledge or anything. It is because I am still representing it in the country and abroad, so I don't have to wait somebody else come from another country to do it.
So I think for me what's interesting about the whole process, this issue of how do you connect to stories and how do you review them and how do you move yourself, because then the first views of that story were all connected on personal views. Oh, I like this one's work, I like what they do. But setting up the criteria mode says then disconnect your feelings and look at it. Does it meet the rest of the criteria? And I think in my group especially, that's what we were struggling with, because we were so caught up in oh, I like the story, but then does it meet the criteria, and then whose story was really talking to us as a group?
I learned something new about how people who benefit from different programs from the USAID back home, that can be benefit for them, whether it's STG program or our RAP activities, or whether for networking in terms of mentoring. And what I learned is what can be how the implementation is reflected among fellows. And that is very, very interesting in how we can measure the real impact, not only for fellows, but how they impact their daily work for the community.
I think it was inclusive, really inclusive, because you gave everybody an opportunity to make a decision. It wasn't like going behind, going to make the selection yourself. We all participated, so the grouping was an effective way of getting everybody speak.
One of the main changes that we figured out during the monitoring and evaluation process was that most of the fellows were really interested on the business growth. The second change is the social enterprise approach. That is really a new way of doing, let's say, business, but also having an impact in the communities as well.
We also see an increased level of personal development. And this has carried on to an increased skill base, because basically if you analyze yourself, you're able to see and seek out better skills that can increase your career and help you get promotions, for example. Lastly, we also find that in this region, inclusivity is key. People are willing and able to want to include women, want to include people living with disability, and they've embarked on projects and policy change that can enable that to happen.
The factors that enabled the changes for fellows were the leadership development plan, which helped fellows with planning and giving them direction. The speaker travel grants, which provided opportunities for networking and sharing of knowledge.
Many of the fellows talked about networks, network with fellows, network with as a network that helped them to secure funding, and network that helped them to form partnership.
There's been a lot of engagement among the youths, the fellows, to network among each other, which is really great. And the other thing you'll see is that there have been less participation around collaboration among the fellows. That wouldn't surprise me because it's kind of something to do with culture. Among Africans, it's not just a common thing to work together. And this is something around trust. People tend not to trust other people, especially if you just met them for like weeks. You'd want to know more of the people and then see how you would work together. But either way, it's interesting to see that at least some people are already engaging and collaborating, which is kind of a positive sign. Although there was like less being done so far, that means more needs to be done to cultivate this kind of culture where people need to start working together.
And for blockers, we classified this category into two: pre-blockers, and we mean about the challenges that the fellows used to face before the fellowship. And also we have post or ongoing blockers, which are the challenges that the fellows have been facing until now, that they have to deal with it until now.
What it comes to answer around, it's mostly about personal blockers, which is about mindset and personal priorities, and lack of skill, which is about languages.
The blockers were all externals, which made it difficult for fellows to control, as opposed to had they been internals, which would have made them much easier to control over the externals.
In the analysis, we saw that personal blockers are more mentioned during the pre-fellowship, but they're not mentioned in the post-fellowship. And you can change personal blockers, but external blockers are harder to change. And we also found out that the challenges are common across the region and across countries. These challenges are like stigma, lack of funding. So our recommendation is that this is an area where fellows can collaborate moving forward.